Welcome in all you miraculous watchers. Welcome in beautiful, wonderful, beautiful people. I actually do need to come up with like a greeting instead of like hello, welcome in everyone. Like, hello, welcome in everyone. I'm Jasmine Azure. This is relatively a new topic, I suppose, to the channel because you never really seen me talk about Miraculous before. I used to be a fan back in the day when it first came out. And I think it was like season 3 where I was like considering dropping it, and then it was like early season 4 where I did end up dropping it because I was like, it's not for me. Like it stopped being my cup of tea. I think is as well for me when it came to Miraculous, especially season 1. The only thing I really talked about was the potential the show had, and then like season 2, season 3, I was like, okay, kind of wasting the potential that I see, and then it just kept happening, so I just stopped watching it. But I've been noticing with season 6, there's this potential, where they might actually be expanding on Adrian's character. The problem that I'm having with it though, is there's this like the focus is clearly on, you know, Marinette lying about Gabriel being like better than he was and all that sort of stuff. And while yes, absolutely, I'm looking forward to the fallout of that, that's not actually what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fact that it's been heavily implied that Adrian is in fact a sentibeing. And it's very blatantly, obviously clear no one has actually said that to him. Let me just switch into this for a split second here. It's basically obvious no one has actually said this to him. And the reason why the background for this video is, you know, Kagami and Felix is because they're also heavily implied to be sentient beings. And in one of the episodes of season 6, they go to Marinette, aka Ladybug, and they discuss the fact that they are vulnerable as sentient beings because all it will take is someone getting a hold of their muck item, and that's it. They are controlled, and that means either giving up the Miraculous, whoever has the muck item, or like being controlled by that person, and God knows what that'll mean for the Miraculous team. Blah 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 blah. Right? They go over all the specifics. They're like, we're a vulnerability to ourselves and to each other and to the Miraculouses and the Miraculous team, and we've come up with like many scenarios now to protect ourselves, and aka our Miraculous ring, or our fucking amok rings, right? Because both of them have amok rings. But the thing that annoys me and kind of angers me a little is the fact that Adrian, also heavily implied to be a sentient being, also has an amok item, the twin rings. And no one has told him this. He's not in the know. And so him, as motherfucking Cat Noir, doesn't know of this vulnerability of himself. That's fucking dangerous. Anyone with any cop on knows how dangerous that is. And yet no one has told him this, so he can't make the same precautions to protect himself. And I think that is a huge, and like, it's a huge problem. But also, like, the fact is, like, the show literally, like, right now it's only focusing on Adrian's like complicated feeling about his father, but also about how everyone in his life right now is fucking lying to him, you know, and we all know there's gonna be a blow up from that. The thing I'm thinking about is, like, he's a sentient being. He also happens to be like one of the more powerful Miraculous holders, with holding the fucking Miraculous of Destruction, right? Because like the show has kind of like drilled into us that like the Cat Miraculous especially is like, it's literally, there's a alternate timeline with him being Cat Blanc literally ending the world just on his own. You know what I mean? It's like the show like nails it into your head, and it's just like, so one of the most powerful Miraculouses is in the hand of someone very fucking vulnerable to being manipulated, in the sense that, like, if anyone gets a hold of his amok item, that's it. They have the Cat Miraculous. They have Cat motherfucking Noir as a slave, basically. So I'm just kind of here like, you know, what are you gonna do? He can't defend himself. He can't protect his amok item if he doesn't know that he has an amok item to protect. It leads a huge vulnerability in him, in the team, in not only his amok item, but his miraculous. And so, like, it's yet another way the story has kind of removed his autonomy from him, in the sense that, like, he can't protect himself. Can't protect his ring, can't protect his miraculous, can't protect his team, can't protect... If he can't protect himself, he can't protect anything. And it's another way in which his autonomy has kind of been taken away from him. Because, like, narratively, like, literally Alia talks about how, like, lying to him about Gabriel Guest is a way of taking autonomy away from him and how she's not okay with it. Him being a sentient being and no one fucking informing him of that and, like, telling him all the which ways of which, like, hey, this means you're very vulnerable. You have to protect your muck item above all else. Because, like, they don't know that he's Cat Noir, although we have to assume that Felix and Kagami, maybe they at least suspect it. Honestly, because they figured out for themselves that Marinette was Ladybug. Like, they came to that conclusion themselves. So I have to assume they've done the same thing with Cat Noir being Adrien being Cat Noir, that sort of thing. I have to assume so, as such, right? So it's so fucking stupid that these two extremely smart characters in Felix and Kagami are aware that Adrien is most likely a sentient being, and one, they don't do him the courtesy of, like, informing him of this. It's like, do they not know that he doesn't know? Because that's the only explanation, that they don't know that he doesn't know, that they must assume that he must be aware of the fact that he's a sentient being. Do you know what I mean? But, like, maybe that's the only assumption I can come to, that they think that he knows that he is, and that's the reason why they don't talk to him about it. But, like, this is his cousin, and yes, an ex-girlfriend, but I would hope to be a friend, because, like, Adrien needs more friends. Like, at this point, his friends are basically just Marinette's friends at this point. Like, he's so isolated and alone that his own cousin is prioritizing a friendship with Marinette over actually being a cousin to him. You know what I mean? Like, he's so alone. Like, one of the main reasons why he wanted to start going to school is because he was so isolated. He wanted to make friends. And in the end, it's been, well, I suppose a year or something, but he hasn't really made friends. Like, at this point, I don't really count Nino. We barely fucking see them hang out or interact or anything. We just assume they must, but we don't really get to see it. So, like... And not to mention, earlier on, one of the reasons why he tries to destroy Adrien's reputation, and I'm talking about Felix here, tries to, like, destroy Adrien's reputation, is because he was like, oh, he didn't come to my father's funeral. It's like, if you know he's a sentient being, you know that he has to obey any kind of command given, and you know his father is a piece of shit who wouldn't have allowed him to go, why are you blaming Adrien? It's just... The only conclusion we come to is that they're unaware that he's unaware that he's a sentient being. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, that doesn't really bring up the question of, like, well, why didn't they talk to him about it? Like, why don't they go to him like, right, we suspect that you're Cat Noir, and we know that you're also a sentient being like us. We are also sentient beings. We're all sentient beings. So, you know, you need to... What is your plan to, like, protect your muck item so you can protect your ring? What's your plan to protect your muck item so that you can protect your miraculous? Blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, why hasn't this come up? I'm just like, and I understand focusing on the Gabriel aspect of this and how that makes Adrien lose his autonomy, and it is all well and true, and it is the truth of the matter, right? That is the case, yes. But, like, him being a sentient being is also a huge way in which he has no autonomy. Like, in the literal sense, but also in the information sense. If anyone finds out that he is a sentient being, then they can do what with what Lila was thinking of doing with Felix, going, oh, if I get his muck, I can control him and he can be a spy for me on the inside of the team. Also, I can control Kagami through Felix. But like, literally think of it like this. Lila has a, what's the term, a vendetta against Marinette specifically, and Ladybug, like both of them. And she heavily suspects that they're the same person. She can't prove it, but she heavily fucking suspects it and is actively looking for proof. At this point, is confirmation bias for her. Which, she is right. Like, we can't deny the fact that she's right. But at the moment right now, is she suspects that she is, and she's heavily, like, looking for evidence that she's right. So, in her sense, it's confirmation biased. But she's... it's a whole thing where where her vendetta is against Ladybug / Marinette, actively trying to figure out if they're the same person. And yeah, so far she's failing in that regard, sure. But the thing is, everyone and their grandmother knows Marinette has feelings for Adrien. Right? And while we've seen evidence that she's actively trying to find Ladybug's identity, we haven't seen her kind of put the same effort into Cat Noir's identity. So the assumption is she's probably looking for his identity, but maybe not at the same time. You know, like, no one really pays fucking attention to Cat Noir / Adrien in the show anyway, so fucking, we just have to guess. But the assumption is she's probably looking for his identity. But because we don't see it, we can also just, it's like a, you know, that term, like, the cat it's as long as you don't open the box, the cat is both dead and both alive at the same time, that sort of thing. So until we see it, we can just assume that she's only actively trying to get Ladybug's identity and is actively not really trying to get Adrien's identity or Cat Noir's identity. But the thing is, it's one thing trying to find out that Cat Noir and Adrien are the same person, right? You know? But there's another thing entirely to find out he's a sentient being, because then she'll have the same plan that she had with Felix and Kagami and the Miraculous team, but this time with one of the more powerful Miraculouses, one of the main two that you need for the wish making and all this. But also, Adrien is the love of Marinette's life, right? So in getting a hold of him, like, there's so many different ways this can go, right? Because like, there's one thing to find out that Adrien Agreste is a sentient being, and there's another thing of knowing that Adrien and Cat Noir are the same person. So she might find out he's a sentient being but not know he's Cat Noir, or she might find out that he's Cat Noir but not know that he's a sentient being, or worst fucking case scenario, she finds out both. She finds out that he's both a sentient being and Cat Noir, right? So literally, it's a kind of like a threefold. He's the love of Marinette's life, so he can control Ladybug / Marinette through Adrien, right? And like, yeah, she's actively trying to find out if Marinette and Ladybug are the same person, but she already heavily suspects it. So she's already like making moves to try and like get Marinette to accidentally expose her identity. And literally we saw in, what was it, season 2, season 3, where when she was Lila and she like acclimatized herself as like the fox Miraculous. So she wasn't, I think it wasn't that she wasn't actually the fox, she just was acclimatized to look like the fox Miraculous or whatever. She literally had a whatchamacallit, an illusion of Adrien and threatened to like drop him if they didn't give up their Miraculouses. And Marinette was immediately like, no plan, no nothing, was immediately just like going for her Miraculous, about to give him over. And it wasn't the fact that Cat Noir was right there going, no, it's an illusion, it's fake. And she was like, how do you know? Because again, she doesn't know that Adrien and Cat Noir are the same person. So his word wasn't good enough. If she had known that information, she would have known instantly that's a fake, because Cat Noir, aka Adrien, is right here, right? But because she didn't know that, she reacted emotionally and tried to give up her Miraculous to save Adrien. She could do the same thing again now, but with the real Adrien. And the thing is, as long as she has the Amok item, even if she can literally either create a villain, create herself to be a villain of another illusion villain, and create an illusion of Adrian, again, about to like throw him off a ledge or whatever. But this time controlling Cat Noir to not stop her. And controlling Cat Noir to like not, either to not show up or whatever, to not like prevent Ladybug from giving up her miraculous, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because the only reason why that stopped in the first place, the only reason why that didn't work back then, is because Cat Noir was there and he knew that he was Adrian, and so he flung his staff, whatever it's called, and baton, and got it to like, and showed that it was just an illusion. So she can either use the real Adrian, like control him to be there and control him to not like protect himself and to not transform into Cat Noir and blah 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 blah, and like use the real Adrian to threaten Ladybug to get the miraculous, and then just order Adrian to give over the cat miraculous, blah blah blah, or just again make an illusion but order Cat Noir to not interfere, to not stop it, to allow what comes next, blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's as long as she has control over Adrian, she has control over Marinette, who she heavily suspects is Ladybug. And if she finds out that Cat Noir and Adrian are the same person, she has the cat miraculous. You know what I mean? She'll have immediately one of the two pieces that she needs. And as long as she has Adrian, she has Ladybug, basically. And we've seen before, Marinette is very willing to give up the miraculous for Adrian. But at the same time, that was before the whole end of world thing. Like, before she experienced it with the miraculouses. But we also know that she's still, like, heavily emotionally, what's the word, compromised when it comes to Adrian. Like, she's still making mistakes when it comes to the miraculouses because of Adrian, because of her feelings for Adrian. So it's very much a thing where she'll probably do it again. You know what I mean? So it's like literally putting the Gabriel regress thing aside for a second, just by having Adrian as a sentient being, but unknowingly a sentient being, so he can't protect himself. Therefore, he can't protect his miraculous, can't protect the miraculous team. Again, can't protect himself, but also in the end can't protect Ladybug / Marinette, the love of his life, right? Basically putting everyone in danger because he's actively being kept in the dark about everything, about his own identity, about his own father, about just everything. He's not allowed to fucking know anything, and that's been like my biggest problem with this whole miraculous thing, is the pure like social imbalance between Ladybug / Adrian, or Ladybug / Marinette / Cat Noir / Adrian. That like she's allowed to know all the things, she's allowed to know all the identities of all the miraculous holders, she's allowed to be the guardian and all this other stuff, but he's not allowed to even know things about himself. You know what I mean? She's allowed to know everything and do everything. She's allowed all the autonomy in the world. He, for the seasons upon seasons, has been a nuisance, has gotten in the way, has like, it's a whole thing. He's not allowed to be competent up until now, and you can now argue that maybe the reason why he wasn't allowed to be competent until now was because of Gabriel regress, because he had his like ring on, and so that influenced Adrian to be less competent and whatever. Because like we've seen him already change in this season, by being his own person and being allowed to finally choose for once, but also he's clearly overwhelmed with choice as well, because he's never been allowed to choose before. So now he's kind of like, okay, cool, finally freedom, but what do I do with it? All well and good. And like, I am curious about what they're going to do with Adrian's character / Cat Noir's character, but it's been 6 fucking seasons where they've been dropping the ball a lot in terms of writing. So I'm at a press point where like I'm so curious, and there's so much fucking potential here, but at the same time they have lost my trust seasons ago when it comes to their writing, especially when it comes to Adrian / Cat Noir. Cat Noir has been getting the short end of the stick since season 1, and that hasn't really changed. And it doesn't look like it will change, honestly. They're focusing on Adrian's side of things, which is, you know, nice, whatever. But it's still just like kind of one side of him. They're basically treating him like they would like a female character in any other show. And like, if this was like a commentary, it'd be one thing, but it's not. It's a kid's show, and they're not really addressing it. You know what I mean? I'm so curious what they're going to do with Adrian, and what they're going to do with Cat Noir, and what they're going to do with the storyline of like Gabriel Agreste being the villain, not the hero. But like, thinking about like all the ways in which Adrian has no autonomy, and how easily, in so many ways, one, autonomy has been kept from him because he's not being allowed to be, he's not being given information, right? So he's not being given information about himself, about being a sentient being / being the son of a villain, blah 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 blah. But also in all the ways in which, because he's probably a sentient being and his amok items are the twin rings, all it will take is someone learning he's a sentient being, figuring out is probably the twin rings, what else is it going to be, getting a hold of those rings, and he's not going to protect, well, he's going to protect them, but like, he's not going to be safeguarding them the way Felix and Kagami were, the way they were like, oh, if we put them in a vault, it has the potential of being stolen, if we put it here, it has the potential of this, put it there, the potential of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they went through all the scenarios in which all the ways, if we do this, that could be a potential result, what do we do? Do you know what I mean? Adrian has that same problem with his amok item, but he's unaware that he has an amok item. So he's not protecting it or safeguarding it in the ways they tried to. You know what I mean? So like, because he's not protecting the rings in that sense, in the I can lose my literal autonomy sense, he's not safeguarding them as well as he should. So his autonomy has been removed from him in terms of information by everyone around him, by the love of his life, by all of his friends and family, if you want to call them friends, because they're more Marinette's friends at this point than they've ever really were his. And in terms of being a sentient being, at any point, all it will take is someone suspecting it or figuring out or whatever, and then taking those rings, and then he, in a physical, emotional, and mental sense, will have no autonomy. And then Lila / the new Hawkmoth will get to use Cat Noir / Adrian against Ladybug / Marinette / the entire Miraculous team / the fucking world, basically, because we know how the crap Miraculous on its own can end the world, and it's been seasons and seasons and seasons of the Miraculous, of Cat Noir being like on some level like turned against Marinette or Ladybug, like since season 1, where like he will get hit by the villain and then be temporarily on the villain side. And like in any other show, that would be like a lot of foreshadowing, but this is Miraculous. I don't give them that kind of benefit of the doubt. Not a chance. Because again, I've lost faith in their writing years ago. So literally, this is that in season 4 was always just writing him out because they wanted Marinette / Ladybug to be the one and only main dude, and they wanted her to be so competent, and so he had to be incompetent in comparison. And yeah, you can see it maybe being like the yin and yang sort of a thing, but like, if he's more of a hindrance to her than a help, why the fuck is he even there? So I don't know, it's a whole thing. So like, it could be like it's going to end up being heavy foreshadowing. Not that it was their intention, but it's going to end up being heavy foreshadowing that Lila is going to find out that he's a sentient being, gonna find his amok item, and then gonna turn Adrian and Cat Noir against Ladybug and the team and the world. That's just what it's going to be, basically. So I don't know. I don't like yet that it's yet another way in which autonomy is being taken away from him. He's not allowed to be a character. He's not allowed to grow. He's not allowed to know things. He's not allowed to be Ladybug's partner, because like, that's just lip service at this point. Alia is the partner now. Like, literally, Cat Noir, even when it was just the two of them, he was always written out of it. So like, he was never allowed to be a partner back then. It was just the two of them. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, back when it was just the two of them, he was always like kind of written out of it. try and let Ladybug be the main person and the main one and the smartest one and the most competent one and blah blah blah. So he always had to be written out of it. So that always prevented him from getting to actually be competent and all these other things. And so it's just one thing after another. He's not allowed to be a character. He's not allowed to be competent. He's not allowed to have friends of his own, to have a life of his own, to have thoughts and emotions of his own. He's just a prop. Which is so sad to see, honestly. I think ultimately this rant is over. I think I've said all the things I wanted to say, even if they weren't particularly all that together, I guess. I'm just upset that, like, we get to see Felix and Kagami get to be, you know, their own characters and get to be like, oh, we're sentient beings, we have to protect ourselves, and, you know, and that not being allowed to happen for Adrian because he's not allowed to know things. He's not allowed to do anything, he's not allowed to think, he's not allowed to be a character, he's not allowed to be competent, he's not allowed anything. And I know they're starting to make progress with him here in season 6, but it's season fucking 6. And again, the show has lost my trust years ago. So I'm just kind of suspecting that they're gonna fall flat on this as well. Which is a shame, because that has a lot of potential. But it's been failing in that potential in a lot of ways for a long time. At least in my eyes. So I think that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you for listening. I don't think I'll ever be doing a Miraculous video again. I don't know. It depends if I have more to say, because like, this was on him being a sentient being, so like maybe I might do another video of him, like him and his father, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But like that's been like my main thing. It's just like, yeah, I think that's it. Anyways, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.